Before we begin, here's 4 thumbnails for this video, and please tell me in the comments which one looks the best, because I couldn't decide. But moving on from this very important topic, Resident Evil Village. One of my personal favorite games in the franchise, and I do see mixed reviews around it, but I just really like the vibe and how quirky the game is. So, in today's video, I'm going to be ranking all of the Resident Evil 8 bosses from worst to best. In the 14th spot, I have Donna Beneviento, because it's not really a boss fight, but because it's one of the 4 kings, I still wanted to include it. And I think first part of this fight is scripted, while the second one, you just need to run away from a big baby, that's kinda it. And the last one is interesting, where you need to listen to the sounds and find where the doll is. It's an interesting mechanic, but it definitely doesn't feel like a boss fight. But because, again, it's one of the 4 kings, I at least wanted to include it on this list. In the 13th spot, I have Arcolec Alpha. Hopefully I pronounced that right. And this is not really a boss fight, it's more of a mini boss, and I think that's the biggest drawback of this fight, because I think the fight is just a big monster, you need to shoot it, but because it's more of a mini boss, all you need is like 6 magnum bullets and he's dead. But I still think it's a fun encounter, so I won't waste any more time on him because he's just too weak and too simple to just have anything more to say. In the 12th spot, I have an Evelyn boss fight from Shadows of Rose, I think, DLC, because this boss fight, I think, as a DLC is really mid. It has some cool ideas, like you needing to hit her and hide behind furniture, but maybe it's just because I really hated the DLC. To me, I just really didn't enjoy fighting her, and that's all I can say. In the tomb area, first time for legendary treasure or whatever it's called, and the second time in the building. And I think first of all, because it's an optional mini boss, I think it's pretty cool. The first encounter with him when you don't know what's gonna happen. And I think this fight has potential, but I just think for a mini boss, it has an opposite problem of the alpha boss fight, which is it has too much HP, and I don't really like the minions it spawns, especially in the second fight, where he spawns those flying dudes. I think that makes it really annoying. I think the fight has potential, I think it's solid, but I think because of how much HP it has and the minions it spawns, it cannot get any higher for me. In the 10th spot, I have Sturm, which is a mini boss, but it's a mandatory one because you cannot move forward until you beat him. And I think this fight is just, at first I think it starts pretty strong, it breaks the walls around you, you have to dodge, but then it just starts repeating the same thing, attack over and over and over, and you're just like, when is it gonna end? He just charges at you, then he does his fire attack, and then he charges at you, and you always hit his backside. Now that shouldn't be taken out of context, but you understand what I mean. So, because of that, I think the fight is cool, strong start, but falls off very quickly. In the 9th spot, I have Executioner from Shadows of Rose DLC, and this fight, it's solid. But honestly, I think this is the only fight that I don't even really remember fully what I did in the fight, because there's some sort of gates that open up and free up space while you're fighting him. You then kill some of his minions, then you can use your powers to kind of stun him. And to me, this fight is just a big mess, but somehow it ended up being quite enjoyable for me, and that's all I can say. In the 8th spot, I have Urias, and this guy is just a big werewolf wielding a giant hammer. And, you know, overall, the fight doesn't do anything really wrong, doesn't do anything really right. I just think it's fun, it's cool. You kinda run around these buildings, kinda try to use pillars to your advantage and just unload ammo into him, which I found in this game, because of good gunplay, to be quite enjoyable. So that's why he goes into the 8th spot. In the 7th spot, I have Salvatore Moriu. And this fight kinda starting to fall on my list as the longer I wait, because at first I really enjoyed him, but the more I think about it, the more it's kinda like, this fight is alright. Because I think the fight is cool. I think the acid rain is a fun mechanic that you have to dodge. I think his charges are very well telegraphed, so you should be keeping your distance. I think the walls that build up and make the arena smaller if you don't destroy them is fun. But I do think this fight overstays its welcome. It's kind of a trend in all of the bosses in this game, but it just felt like I was on my last bullets. And it just felt like, how is this guy not dead yet? So, I think a fight that probably is gonna go around this list, jump around it each month, because I'm gonna feel differently each month about him probably. But today, this fight deserves a 7th solid spot. In the 6th spot, I have Urias Trager. Now, I definitely butchered the name, but it's fine. I think this fight is just a big bro of Urias, and we're gonna redo this fight with a different, a bit more unique design. And this fight wouldn't be really that much different and or cool, but I just really enjoy playing as Chris in this fight, and the fact that there's a mechanic of shooting a rocket or an explosion of some sorts through the gap in the cave, and I just think that mechanic just makes the fight more fun for me and ultimately pushes it to the 6th spot. In the 5th spot, I have Lady Dimitrescu, and this fight weird because I didn't expect it to go that way, of her to transforming into a dragon-like monster, but I think the fight in itself is very fun. It has kinda two modes, one is on land, the second one is in the air, and dealing with her both in air and on land is very fun, and feels like a very finished and well done fight compared to the other ones, because it doesn't overstay its welcome, and I think because of different phases, you kinda running up the building, it's actually very fun. The most enjoyable part for me probably is the final phase, in which she just start can attack you in two different sides, and you kind of have to, depending on her positioning to, or preparation to attack you, you either go to one side or the other. And it's very simple, but it's executed effectively and well. So that's why it gets the 5th spot on this list. In the 4th spot, I have the Lady Dimitrescu sisters. And this is probably the biggest surprise of the list, but I just honestly just enjoy the simplicity of these fights because they do not overstay their welcome. They're very fun from start to finish, and especially in the 2nd and 3rd fight, have very cool ideas that are executed perfectly. Now, I am very bad at differentiating sister from sister, so I'm just gonna call them by numbers. So the first fight is simplest, it just tells you that they're weak to outside, the cold air, and you just kill her. The second fight, I think it's very fun. I think it's a cool idea that you get some explosives and you don't need to throw these explosives at her, you need to throw it at the gap in the wall to break it and make her vulnerable, which is very cool and executed very well. And the final, my favorite encounter, is where there's a window that you need to open with a switch, and when you open for a certain period of time, she's weak and you can hit her, but she's smart, so she hides behind buildings, so you need to try to catch her and try and shoot at her, and you have to repeat that a couple times until she's dead. And I think all of these fights are very well done. Feels like this is where all the effort went in, and I think they're very fun, especially as these like small boss fight encounters. In the 3rd spot, I have Miranda. And this fight, what I've seen in the community, it's kind of like mixed. You know, some people like this fight. I've actually heard a lot more people not liking it. I think this fight, it does a bit overstay its welcome. but I think because it's now a final boss fight, I kind of don't mind that. And even though it's a long fight, because of her different modes and multitude of attack patterns, I actually really liked it. And because maybe I'm a bit of a Souls player, I actually enjoyed how many attacks she can throw at you and different ways to deal with them. I really enjoyed that aspect, which made it kind of easy for me to put her in the third spot. In the second spot, I have Carl Heisenberg, and this guy is my guy because he's one of the coolest characters in this game, and his boss fight delivers. Because first of all, you have a literal tank machinery, and it's robot machine versus this robot mutation boss fight of his. And I think the whole hype of how cool the fight is, if you're one of those people in the series that likes it being realistic, this being of a zombie virus where you just kill zombies, then probably this is a bit too much action for your liking. But for me, I really enjoyed this part of you trying to kill him. And after your machine breaks, I thought the fight is gonna fall off, but honestly, I really enjoyed it again. He has a telegraphed weak point, and you need to hide sometimes behind some of the structures that are on the field. And I just really enjoyed the fight start to finish. And and honestly, it was even a debate of putting it in the first spot because of how cool the fight is and how much I enjoyed it. And in the first spot, I have Miranda from Shadow of Rose DLC. And honestly, this is how I'm gonna put it. This is the only good thing about that DLC that I don't want to mention anymore. This fight honestly delivers. And yes, you get a dodge, you get a special tree power that you need to hit to stun her. But I honestly died to her like 6 times and I enjoyed it each time even more. I really like this fight. I don't know how the community feels about it, but I just think this fight has super cool attack patterns that you need to dodge. I think the ideas are very cool. I kinda got confused with how to use the power, and I didn't realize that those, I think, things that you need to parry or absorb actually just gives you more powers, but if you have already some you can use. I thought when you parry it, then you can only use the power, which was kinda wrong. But other than that, the fight is amazing. I honestly sometimes think maybe I should put myself through hell again to fight this final fight because it's a blast. And I think the area that you fight her is very cool, and the fight honestly very impressive. And especially for a fight that I don't think, especially for a game where most of the time you're just running around trying to keep your distance and just shoot at the enemy, and there's maybe one cool idea. This fight expands this whole combat system to the limit. And I'm not hoping that like maybe Resident Evil 9 is gonna have this kind of boss fights. I don't think it works, but just for this DLC and what lore is showing, I think it's fitting. And I just think this fight without a doubt it deserves the first spot. Now I'm done with my list. I kind of went on a tangent here in the first spot. Apologies for that. Couldn't contain myself. Tell me in the comments. Do you agree with this list? Always fun replying to you. Maybe one or two. And in the next video, I'm probably, as I kind of hinted in this video, I'm gonna be reviewing all of the From Software games that I played and beat. Ending notes on all of these 4 games that I reviewed and ranked their bosses. I think the Resident Evil series in general is one of my favorite franchises. I just really like. Some people don't like how it's sometimes action, sometimes horror, sometimes action. I like that each game is different, even though some I enjoy more than others, but I still think it's always an experience, even if it's a negative one. You still have an experience, and I think I cannot wait for Resident Evil 9, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.